Hello everyone, welcome to new MemoMap episode. Today we explore one of the most important exchange system, which is the capillary and lymphatic system. In this MemoMap, we will move step by step through five main ideas. First, we will talk about the structure of the capillary. Second, we understand the capillary blood flow and pressure. Third, we will discover how nutrition and gas are exchanged through the capillary. Fourth, we will explore the lymphatic system and its role in the fluid balance. And finally, we will finish with the interstitium and edema. So let's start our memo map and talking about the structured organization of the capillary. Now let's look at the structural organization of the capillary. We have a true capillary, and here we have a precapillary sphincters at the entrance of the true capillary. They are smooth muscles gate. They open, allow the flow of the blood from the arteriole to venule. When closed, they stop the flow from the arteriole to the venule. The second type of the capillary is the thoroughfare capillary, and this allows a direct movement of the blood from the arteriole to the venule, so it can the blood bypass the true capillary when the exchange is not needed. Let's talk about the capillary wall structures. We have three types of the capillary. The continuous capillary, having a tight endothelium junction. The permeability is low, and this type found in the CNS to maintain the blood-brain barrier. Then the fenestrated capillary has a small pore called a fenestration, allow a moderate permeability. Common organ require a filtration, such as a kidney, have this fenestrated capillary. Third is a sinusoidal capillary, which is the most permeable, and they have large gap with irregular structures, allow the large molecule to pass, and this type of capillary found in the liver. Now, let's understand how the blood move through the capillary. We are going to discuss the capillary pressure and the capillary flow. The capillary hydrostatic pressure, this is the pressure that pushes the fluid out of the capillary to the interstitium. At the end of the arteriole, the hydrostatic pressure is around 35 millimeter mercury. It's a little bit higher, favors the filtration, so the water move outside the capillary to the tissue. As the blood move through the capillary, the pressure gradually decrease and the hydrostatic pressures drop to 15 millimeter mercury at the venule end, and this force pushes the fluid towards the capillary, not towards the interstitium. The second important pressure is the oncotic pressure or colloidal osmotic pressure, and it mainly created by the plasma protein like the albumin. Unlike the small ions, these proteins cannot leave the capillary, so it pulls the water back to the blood. Unlike the hydrostatic, the oncotic pressure relative constant along the capillary, and because the hydrostatic pressure decrease all through the capillary to the venule end, the oncotic pressure is the dominant forces. So at the venule end, the reabsorption is favored back to the capillary due to decrease hydrostatic and increase the oncotic pressures. Let's move to the flow. The flow of the capillary has two characteristics. First, it is slow, and this is due to the large cross-sectional area, and important because it allows the time for the nutrition and gas exchange. The second characteristic of the flow, it is intermittent or pulsatile. This is due to the precapillary sphincters, which relax, allows the blood to enter when the metabolite vasodilate substance increase, such as the carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and potassiums. When the metabolite decrease, the sphincters contract and the capillary flow stop. So remember, the pressures important is to control the fluid movement, and the metabolism is important to control the capillary flow. Let's move to the next point. Now let's see how the substance actually move between the blood and the tissues through the capillary. And here we have three main mechanisms. First, the diffusion, and the diffusion means that the substance move along the concentration gradient, and the rate of diffusion depends mainly on several factors: the permeability, the concentration gradient, the molecular site, and the lipid solubility. The second mechanism is the vesicular transport, which either to be endocytosis to the cell, exocytosis out the cell, transcytosis, the substance enter from one side of the cell and exit from the other side of the cell. And the most important transport or exchange is the bulk flow or transcapillary net filtration. The movement of large amount of the fluid occur through the net filtration force. The net filtration equals the filtration coefficient multiply the filtration force minus the reabsorption force. The filtration coefficient reflects the permeability and surface area of the capillary. The filtration force means the fluid move out of the capillary, and this is depend on the capillary hydrostatic pressure and the interstitial oncotic pressure. The reabsorption force the fluid move back to the capillary, and this is through the capillary oncotic and the interstitial hydrostatic. So the balance between these forces determine whether the fluid move out of the capillary or return back into the capillary. Uh, the next point is the lymphatic systems, and this system returns the fluid back to the circulation. So we will first discuss the structure. The lymphatic vessels have a very thin wall, similar to the capillary, has a smooth muscles with one-way valve, and these valves important to keep the lymph move in one direction. So the lymphatic is unlike blood vessels. It does not have a central pump like the heart. Rather, the lymph move through the skeletal muscle contraction, the change in the intrathoracic pressures during the breathing, the pulsation from nearby artery, and the intrinsic contraction of the smooth muscle in the wall. What are the function of the lymphatic? They are responsible for the drain of excess fluid that filtered from the capillary to the interstitial, transport the lipid, and defense through removing of the microorganism. So it drain, transport, and remove. Let's talk about the interstitial fluid, which is the fluid that surrounds the body cell. The volume of the fluid interstitial depend on the several important factors. First, capillary factor. This includes the capillary hydrostatic, the capillary oncotic, the capillary permeability, the number of the open capillary, and the diameters of the or the resistance of the pre and post capillary vessels. Also, there are factors related to the lymphatic system and the factor related to the interstitial fluid pressures. So, when the interstitial fluid abnormally increases, this is called an edema. And edema can be seen in the dependent part of the body, such as the lower limb or the back. There are many causes for the edema, either increasing hydrostatic pressures of the capillary, as in heart failure, increase the oncotic pressure of the capillary due to low plasma albumin, increase the capillary permeability due to inflammation, and lymphatic obstruction as in the filariasis and the tumors. Alright, let's quick recap our memo map for the capillary today. First, we talked about the structural organization. We talked about the two capillary and through fair channel, and then we talked about the three types of the capillary according to structure of the wall, whether continuous, fenestrated, or sinusoidal. Then we talked about the capillary pressure and flow, know the difference between hydrostatics and the oncotic, and then we discussed the capillary flow with two important features, that is slow and intermittent due to the precapillary sphincter. After that, we explored the mechanism of exchange across the capillary wall, which occur either through diffusion, vesicular, or transcapillary filtration. Remember that the bulk flow net filtration equal filtration coefficient multiply the force for filtration minus the force for the reabsorption. Remember the hydrostatic pressure pushes water out while the capillary uncutting pull the water back in. Then we talked about the lymphatic system, the structures and the flow which occur or depend on the muscle movement, breathing, vessels contraction, and its three main functions: drain, remove, and transport. Finally, we talked about the interstitial fluid, how its volume is controlled by the capillary force, permeability, number of open capillary, vascular resistance, lymphatic drain, and the interstitial pressure. And when the interstitial fluid increase, this is mean edema. That's the end of our memo map, and see you next episode.